Hi, Mark Smith here, representing ToroTamer products. I'm over at the ToroTamer warehouse right now, and I wanted to do a little brief video, as brief as I can make it, given that I'm a little bit wordy, on advanced wind-on techniques. There is no single way to make your wind-ons. I've stressed that a number of times. What I'd like to show this time is what I do myself anyway for the heavier rigs if I'm going on a cow trip and have the opportunity to catch something big. What I do for the light lines from say 50 pound on would be multiple nail knots. I'll do 3 nails on 30, 4 nails on 40, 5 nails, 4 or 5 nails if I'm doing 50. A better way to do that is to add a nub knot, no doubt. And a lot of the guys that do nub knots will do those all the way up to that 130 pound or so category, with tripling up on the nails, with the 1 nail knot on the leader, which is inserted into the braid. What I'm increasingly doing myself now, for the heavy rigs, is to add a nub knot about 2 inches up into the braid. Then I'll put a nail on the transition point of the braid to the leader. I'll do another nail back next to that nail knot which is onto the leader itself, and then I'll go ahead and serve it. So I've got some redundancy built into the program, pretty conservative way to do that. Again, this is what I'm currently doing on my own rigs. I'm no expert at this. It's a learning process for me, and I would imagine for most of the guys that do this, it's a bit of a hobby in and of itself, and there's a lot of learning that goes on. So I'll go ahead and do this as quickly as I can, try and get a few still shots, and then hopefully this will get you trying something different on your heavier rigs. Again, it's a little more redundant to do the nail as well as a serve, but it's always better to be conservative. Bad things happen on big fish, and the more security you can provide, I think the better. This is, again, just one way to do things, and there are many ways to do them, and a lot of them are good, just a matter of trial and error. But this is my system, and this is where my comfort level is, at least right now in my own developmental process on making wind-ons. First thing you want to do to making the wind-ons is to use, in this case I'm going to use 130 pound ToroTamer 16 strand hollow braid. This happens to be green in color. I'll start off with 12 feet, which for me is a couple of wingspans, that way. And I'll snip this guy off. Again, have some dedicated cutters that you only use for braid. Don't use them on mono or cable or anything else. These work real well. There's some other little snips I'll show you in a bit that work pretty well too. But you'll find that cutting braid, at some point those cutters will become not so hot. They won't make as clean of a cut, and so what you do at that point is, put them in your tackle box, use them for cutting mono, and get yourself a new pair of braid cutters. You want those suckers as sharp as possible, no doubt. Now, to make the braid portion, this is going to be a dual wall wind-on. So I'll take my braid and I'll give myself anywhere from 12 to 16 inches of a shorter length versus a longer leg. Okay, so I will use the short leg first, and I'll start off. Again, this is the end I'm going to be going down into. I will start with the short leg. Okay, and that's what I have here. So I'm going to go down the short leg with my reverse latch to make a loop. Now, when you're as old as I am, not a bad idea to wear a pair of glasses when you do these things. At home, in my man cave, I've got some of those flip-down jeweler's type glasses. They work real well. In this case, I'll use these specs, which help my old and feeble eyes. Now, I'm going to use a reverse latch needle, and basically, let's see if I can get a little closer if that helps. A wee bit, probably won't. I'll go ahead and loosen that weave up a little bit, and then I'll insert the reverse latch needle. And again, this process, this is an advanced class, right? So expectation is this is the easy one. You've been doing these before, no big deal. I'm just going to run this sucker on up into the braid. And I apologize that I'm not able to get this focused that well on the camera. But as you can tell, the needle's going to go into the braid. I'm going to extend this all the way through. No great, big deal there. Give myself a little bit to work on. Open up the latch. You could use a loop needle instead if you wished. Go ahead and make a loop with the braid, stick that inside the latch, and then let's put this braid over it. We'll start stringing her through. We'll go back over that loop. And now I'm just going to go through here quickly. And you can see this stuff opens up beautifully. This is a colored braid, and it, even being colored, the stuff works great. Now, one thing on the coloring process, now you will get a little bleed on the color onto your fingers. Don't fret. Once the line gets wet, the bleeding goes away, and you're left with a nice, green color that retains the color quite well. I like the colored stuff. The white certainly is the easiest to work with, although you can see this is pretty doggone easy too. Now I'm going to move these coils down over my loop, and with the use of the colored braid, I'm able to color code my leaders, so even a feeble mind like mine will recognize, oh, okay, green's for 130 pound leader, yellow's for 100 pound, blues for 80, etc. Works real well. So I'm going to have my loop. I've got a bundle of this braid where my loop has come out. I've got my single wall here. This will become the double wall. Okay? That's it for the reverse latch on this one. Next we'll be inserting the leader into the braid. Okay, now I'll use a different pair of cutters to cut the leader, of course, because we don't want to use our braid cutters to cut the mono. Okay, so that's snipped. At least I thought I had it snipped. Now I've got it snipped. I'll sand down the end of this leader a little bit just to make sure it's smooth. I don't have any burrs or anything like that that could potentially be a problem under pressure, damage the line. And then also I do rough up the leader just a little bit with my emery board, which I swiped for my wife this morning. No, she's got a nicer one. But I'll go ahead and rough up the line just a little bit with that. The thinking is that by doing that, it's going to have a little bit more grip. I don't know if it does or not, but that's what I do. And then I'll select the appropriate hollow needle and I'll string that into the leader. I'll string the leader. I've got my needle. This is some 130 pound leader. I'm going into a needle that actually is a little bit too big, simply because I didn't bring my smaller needle with me. And I'll tease the end a wee bit, get the needle to go inside, make sure she's going through the right way, everything looks good, and I'll simply start bringing her on in. So 130 pound leader, 130 pound braid. Now I started off with about 12 feet, a little over 12 feet worth of braid. I used unequal lengths of the braid, off by maybe 10 inches. And we'll see if I come close as far as. I'll take this up before I reach my bundle, which is going to be the overwrap or the second wall. Poke the needle out. This is all old school to you guys. I'm doing nothing unusual here. This is your standard dual wall wind-on we'll be making. Okay, so there's my leader. I've strung my leader inside the braid by, oh boy, that's about 5 feet in terms of length. Realistically, you can get by with less. I tend to go 5 feet to 6 feet on a cow rig, and most of mine, even my light stuff, I'll go up that far with the leader material. And now basically I'm just going to pretend, from the old experience of being a kid on a farm, begin essentially milking this braid, my dual wall, on over it, okay, on over the single and the leader. And you may have a little clump that develops. If that's the case, just bring it on down, okay? And you're going to keep on bringing this leader on down. Well, it flows nicely, you know, truly. The idea is to have a double thickness, double wall of your braid over the leader. Redundancy is a good thing, except when I'm speaking. Then it leaves a lot to be desired. A coloring braid isn't the easiest thing in the world because this is a polyethylene gel spun line by its nature. It's white. It does not, the coloring process is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And what we found, if you bake in the color, that's the color retains better, but now you've done some damage to the line, in my estimation. And so it's pretty much an unfinished coloring process that we use. You'll see no clumps of paint within that braid, which is unlike some of the stuff that's on the market, and that's a nice thing. Now you can see, here's my leader, there's the first wall, and my second wall is up here. I've got to get these two even, couple ways to do it. If I go back to where my loop is, I've got, about 2 inches worth of braid where there's no leader. That's where my leader begins. So what I'm going to do is simply spread the legs a little bit, and you can see how it loosens up. Now my leader is up tighter, about half an inch or so from my loop. And now I'll milk this little extra bit down the line. And that's going to give me another inch or so. So I still have, excuse me, I still have a little bit of trimming I need to do right here. Give me just a moment, I'll get my other clips out and we'll do that. Now I'm going to make use of another little device I like to play around with, this little boomerang tool. Nice little snips on these things. And what I'll do is I'll puff the line up, give me something to work with, and I'll snip off that excess. You don't want to snip, obviously, or begin to cut into your leader. That would be a bad thing. But I just will snip a little bit around on this thing because I've got more of this braid on one leg than I need. So I started off with about a foot. Maybe I should have started off with the unequal amount, a different by an inch or so. No biggie, easy enough to trim it and fix it. Okay, so now I've got things evened out. I'll get rid of that section, and in just a moment we'll go ahead and do the nub knot and the serve. Okay, I'm at my workstation. What we have here, let's see if I can move the camera around a little bit. This is a pretty Mickey Mouse setup, as you can see. Harbor Freight and Tools did me very well. My serving stand did not cost a couple $100, guarantee you, even counting my labor time, which isn't worth much. Okay, I'll lock this guy in my clamps. Okay, line is in. And this is the area we're going to be working on right here. This is where I've got my double wall at this point. So what I'm going to do, tighten it up a little bit, I'm going to want to put a nail knot down right here. Let's see if I can get her over a little bit, depending on how much we can zoom. Okay, that's the point. There are a few things I like to use for this. On the nails, I typically am going to use either the depth counter line. We do this in 20 and a 30 pound through ToroTamer. I go with the multicolor because, again, the colors can help me remember which test I'm working with and differentiating the leaders. I like using this 8-strand hollow for my nail knots. Now, being clear, it works very well also for serving. The same for this on the multicolor. I use them both for nails and both for serves. In this case, the advantage of the hollow, this is an 8-strand hollow, the advantage of that product is that it does get real tight. It's easy for me to see a change in color knowing that I've pulled my nails tightly enough. It's a real nice line to work with, as they both are. But we'll use the white for the nail. I'm using obviously a high-vis leader. Get yourself, oh, I don't know, 12 inches or better to play with here on the 8-strand. We're going to push our end of the braid up about for the nail knot. We're using the 8-strand braid as mentioned. I have a little tool I've fabricated for this, which is just a hollowed out piece of a rod tip actually. So yes, when a rod breaks, it is not something to throw away. There are many different uses. So with my little tool, I'll go ahead and make this nail knot. In this case, I'll go for 6 wraps. Most folks will go anywhere from 5 to 10 on different guys. For this, I'll use a 6. I may use a different number unless I'm too. The difference it makes when you can see things. Okay, nail's ready to be popped. I'm going to sting this up about 2 inches above where that transition point should be. I've got my nail knot right there, and now I'll pull it. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, nail knot is right there. Use a couple of pullers. Wrap your braid around it a few times, and then go ahead and pull that tight. You should see a little bit of a color change on the braid if you've done everything right here, as far as pulling her back. And once it goes translucent, it is tight enough. That looks good. Go ahead and make my snip. This I'll snip pretty tightly at that point. Okay. And now let's go ahead and loosen this up a little bit. Make sure we're taut. Okay, that's plenty tight. And you can see there's my inside wall, there's my outside wall. It's not as clean as I'd like it, but we'll finish that up in just a moment. I'll use another little tool to go over the nail and bring the braid on over this. Okay. So I'm covering what is my nail knot that's on the leader, and I went a little further than I normally would. That's okay, not a problem. And I'll clean up the ends here a little bit just for cosmetic purposes. Okay, so that's been snipped. And now it's time, let's go ahead and put down a couple of nails. So I'll use my 8-strand, I'll use my 4-strand on this one. Now we'll go to a high contrast yellow. Again, I've got 15, 16 inches. See, it transitions to green. I'll put a nail down right here at that transition to the leader, and I'll also put a nail down right by that other nail on the leader, right there on the inside. Now, I'm not going real heavy, and as far as number of times, this is only 4 times through. 4 or 5 is more than plenty. All I'm trying to do is to clean that end up a little bit right there. So we'll give it a good tug, and we'll cinch her down again. Now, frankly, do a nail here, do a nail on my nub connection there too. Go ahead and pull it tight. That's more than sufficient. Snip it off. probably enough really to get the job done. Because the line itself is carrying the heavy load. This is just to keep things from slipping long enough for the line itself, for the braid, to grip your leader. Now I'm going to put another nail nut down right in front of the nub, or the nail nut that's on the leader. Okay, so right there is where that little lump is, and that's where I want to put this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Here I'll go 7. Some guys will go 10, and that's cool. That works too. I can see where my nail is on the inside. I'll tighten her back. I want to be just on this side, on the leader side of that other nail knot. Okay, that's locking the braid. So we'll pull this guy tight. Now with a lot of fellas, and it's worked well, there have been some cows taken just doing the nub knots and laying in 3 of these nails on the outside of the braid, securing that little nub. That can work just fine. I like doing the serve as well. Again, redundancy works. So I've got my nub knot here, I've got a nail here at the transition. Now we'll go ahead and serve it. Okay, for the serve, this is 30 pound that I put on a little thimble spool. Same stuff as this in multicolor fashion. We're on the red side at this point, and that'll change in time. I'll add another nail knot. I'll put this nail about midway, maybe an inch or so up from the transition point. Call it 1.5 inches. 3, 4, 5. I'll give it 6. Now let's put down the nail. Okay, this will be the beginning point of the serve. Go ahead and cinch her down. Okay, this one's locked. Trim off your tag. This doesn't have to be as clean as I'm doing it. Some guys will leave this one hanging a little bit because it's going to be wrapped underneath your serve. A serve is only as good as how tight you make it. So I've got this guy fairly well dialed up. And I'm going to do my first wrap back reasonably slowly. And you may adjust that little wing nut several times in the course of making these. The tighter you make it, the more chances you have of introducing a twist, unless you're careful. That's one reason why on the light lines, when I go 50 pound and down, I'll use my nails instead of using a serve. Now the other point I've seen on serves, when they've come undone, and I found this out the hard way, I like going on to my leader, 1/4 inch or so, just to help in case it's a cast, because you have a load and a release of pressure, and that's when you'll have some slack line, that's when you can come apart on a slack line. Now I'm going over my nub, may want to help it. I'll make it past that point, which it did. I'll go on to my leader a bit. And now I'll turn this piece over so the short end is going in the direction I want to flip. I'll help it go in the right direction to get her started. I'm holding my leader in my right hand. I don't want that to twist, and I'm putting on some pressure here. I've gone over my nail at that point, and it's tight, very tight. Okay, at this point, I've gotten the serve wrapped, and what I want to do is to finish this off, the braid off, with another nail knot. So I'll strip off some braid, I'll snip it, give myself, again, oh, I don't know, 8 inches or so to work with, and then I'm going to use a loop needle here, the loop, and I'll use a nail. You can get by with just a loop. I tend to use the nail as well, give me a little bit more room to play with here. And then I'm going to wrap around my loop needle and the braid, keeping the direction the same, of course. And I'm going to give this a good 10 wraps. I'll bring the braid through my loop. Another good reason to wear glasses. I don't know if I can zoom in on that or not, but we'll try. That's about it. Okay, and now I'll take my nail out and I'll draw my loop with the braid through it on out, and I'll cinch this part down. So I've got a nail at the end here. That's what's locking the braid. Snip that off. And we have her finished. That's her serve. So I'm onto the leader a little bit. I've got my wraps going up about, oh, in this case I went about 2 inches. I've got my nail up here. I'll apply some adhesive to this connection. I'll do it here as well. And I'm done with my wind-on. That's a finished project. Thank you for watching. Again, no simple way or no single way of doing these things. There are lots of ways to do them. This is what I do myself on the heavier rigs. At the shop, over at Shark Bait, the guys will do things, similarly, maybe a little bit different. Blake has his own little secrets he does, but this is what I do on my own rigs. I can speak to that. When I am working on the heavier lines, I'll do a nail, I'll do my nub connection, as well as a serve. On my light stuff, I will do, typically, I may just do nail knots. I won't worry about doing a nub. And some fellows out there will simply do the nub connection with 3 or 4 of the nail knots, and that's all they run. Some guys will do the serve without the nub. It's lots of ways to do it. Experiment, come up with your own, and now you've got your system, and you may do different things for different tasks, for different applications. Thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful to you. This is Wind-ons Advanced Class. Bye-bye.